Hey guys, good morning. Here we are at Norfolk International Airport, getting ready to head out. Miriam's over there at Starbucks getting me some coffee while I'm shooting this little bit of an intro. You know, one of the fallacies of trip planning is when you go online to get some idea of the airline ticket prices and then plug that number into your budget for the trip, that sounds pretty good until you come back to actually get the reservations and you realize to get those prices that you were quoted, you have to get up at a really early hour to get those cheap prices. To be able to sleep into a decent time and drive to the airport, well, that's a lot more money, sometimes 30 to 50% more. So we decided to stick with the cheaper price tag and end up getting up at the crack of dawn. Actually, before, sun's still coming up and we're already at the gate. So we'll be boarding here in a few minutes and on our way to Utah. Hey guys, good morning. We're here starting the day on day 2 here in Salt Lake City, Utah in our hotel room. It's already been an exciting morning, as you can hear periodically during this little segment, the smoke alarm chirping. Well, there's a story there. We'll get to that in a second. We decided not to travel very far after we arrived at the airport here in Salt Lake yesterday. We got a room here in the city. And the reason is we are connecting with Miriam's high school classmate who's staying in the same hotel, and we're sharing the rental car going down to Moab. So that's why we're still here. And yesterday was a fairly uneventful flight as commercial flights go. We only had about a 45-minute layover in Atlanta. And I thought, well, that shouldn't be too much of a problem until I realized that the departure gate was on the other concourse from the arrival gate. So we had 45 minutes to wait to get off the plane, which takes 20 minutes because we were in the back of the plane. And then literally sprint down the concourse, catch the train to the next concourse, then sprint to the gate. And we made it. We actually had about a good 10 minutes to spare, so it wasn't too much of a problem. The only real drawback is I am not a comfortable traveler when it comes to flying commercial airliners. It was a full flight on both legs, so I was like this the entire time, just compressed in. And I don't know if you've flown commercial lately, but when the gentleman in front of me put his seat back in the reclined position, the distance between my face and the back of his seat was 10 inches. I know, I measured it. Yeah, it was very, very tight. But we could have upgraded to first class for another $1,000. We decided not to do that. So anyway, we're here, had a pleasant evening, and went to bed our normal bedtime, but it's 2-hour time difference here. So translation, I was wide awake at my normal wake-up time at about a little after 6, so wide awake. And Miriam's going, please stay in bed a little longer. And I said, I can't. So got up, started to get my coffee made, and the smoke alarm, the fire alarm in the hotel goes off. And we're thinking, oh great, we have to evacuate the hotel. I'm standing here in my underwear. So fortunately the smoke alarm, the fire alarm went off and we went back to our routine. So everybody in the hotel was now wide awake. So our goal today is to make it down to Moab. It should be a scenic drive. I have not done as much research on the drive because it's a pretty straightforward drive from here down to Moab, but Debbie, the young lady we're sharing the car with, has done some research, and she said that a section of road that we're going to be taking is the longest road without services in the United States. There's a 100-mile gap with no services, so we need to make sure we're provisioned with some water and that sort of thing in case we have a mechanical breakdown so we won't die on the side of the highway. So not likely to happen. Weather should be good. Should be in the low 70s, high 60s. A little chance of precipitation. It was raining here yesterday, but it's gorgeous to see this the snow, and it's fresh snow on the mountains, the surrounding Salt Lake City. It's gorgeous. So anyway, here we go, day 2.
So we head south from Salt Lake City towards Moab, Utah. No? Miriam's friend Debbie does not like to drive. I love to drive, so I got to sit in the pilot's seat. But she did her homework and found an incredibly scenic route off the beaten path along a gravel road through BLM land. The road had no name, just a left turn onto a gravel road before reaching Castledale on State Route 10. We found a road, but not sure if it was the correct one or not, so Miriam decided to ask, and the gentleman confirmed this was the road we were looking for.
Oh, is that deer?
Where?
Well, in the brush now.
Yeah. So anyway, we're off the interstate.
We are off the road.
Our navigator, who's in the back, say hi. She recommended that we take this turn off the interstate and take some back roads to some very scenic areas, and we are, because we're always up for an adventure. And we're not sure what we're going to see, but we're going to go find it.
Indian pictographs.
Where?
No, that's up ahead.
Oh!
20 miles up ahead, silly.
I don't like
You thought you missed
sign
them?
pointing.
I'm excited to see this.
Much of the land in Utah is owned by the federal government. Some of it is set aside for national parks or national wildlife refuges. The remainder, which is 23 million acres in Utah alone, that's 42% of the state, is managed by the Bureau of Land Management. Some of it is leased to ranchers or miners, but much is just open land which can be used for camping and hiking. A great place to do serious remote boondock camping. We're in the middle of nowhere, Utah, and we come across these boondockers. So we've stopped at this little, well, lack of a better word, it's a little visitor center and parking area, pit toilets, and it's in the middle of no place. I mean, we're on a gravel road with no name, but it has signage, and we've run across several people who were boondocking in their RVs, kind of nice, but as far as you can see, the only thing man-made is this little area right here. It's, well, spectacular. It's like, doesn't do it justice. It's just spectacular, just spectacular. We noticed across the parking lot were these life-size silhouettes and a plaque, the location of the old Spanish Trail, which is considered one of the most arduous trade routes ever established in the United States. The trail was first used by Spanish settlers in the 16th century, and later wagon train routes from the 1830s to the mid-1850s. So we're at this little place. It's called the Wedge. It's an overlook into the, what do they call it? The Little Grand Canyon. And what do they call the Little Grand Canyon? Well, let's take a look, shall we? Oh my goodness. Yeah. at a place where they have pictographs, and they've designated this area along this route, and it's in this little part of the canyon right here. And I gotta admire this fellow's rig. This land is actually owned by the Bureau of Land Management, Department of the Interior, which basically means it's federally owned land that hasn't been divvied up by anybody. They've owned it ever since they acquired it. And it's just awesome. Just absolutely awesome. And you even have some decent conveniences every few miles, so you don't have to hold it. Wingate sandstone, Jurassic age, 180 million years old. Triassic. I never knew this part of Utah existed. After several hours on the back road, we're back on Interstate 70, heading east towards Moab, Utah. You may be surprised to learn that in Utah and many of the other southwestern states, bicyclists can use the shoulder of the interstate to ride on, as other roads are few and far between. As we descend into the Colorado River Basin, which is where Moab is located, we are greeted by a spectacular views on the right and left. And why not? Considering there are two national parks here, one on each side of the road, Canyonlands and Arches National Park. Moab was once known as the uranium capital of the world, but as the Cold War ended, Moab almost became a ghost town itself. But due to its proximity to two recently established national parks, gave Moab a new life. We have 5 days to see what else this area has to offer. It's gonna be a hoot.
If you like this video, give it a thumbs up.
If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Feel free to leave a comment below.